In this quick video, I would like to show you how we can quickly generate the geometry for those rotated leg posts. This actually looks pretty simple, but there are a few things to consider. And I will show you what to look out for and then how we can fix it. For dimensions, you can see that actually the height of the upholstery is pretty much the same. So we could maybe say this is 40 centimeters. 40 centimeters. The height is maybe 46 centimeters. Let's assume 8 centimeters for the upholstery thickness, including the wooden board the wood construction is mounted actually onto. So we have a height of 46 minus 8, so 32 height is for the legs. Let's take a look at what I have here in Fusion. So I created first just a basic floor plan for where my legs are sitting. You see 40 by 40, and here's my 5 by 5. Let's assume that's maybe the material we have. And one dimension is driven by the other dimension. You also see I use the points on the midpoint of a line to register everything nicely at the center. Then I created a construction plane at the height of 32. Wait, 32 is actually not correct. Let's take a look. 46 minus 8, 38. There. That's where it should be. Okay. And then on there I created another sketch. Okay, good. So I have these two rectangles there, and one would say, well, with these two rectangles for the leg, I can easily loft them. Done. Finished. Let's take a look from the right. All the edges are nice and flush, but there is one problem. So let's create another sketch on this face, and then I will actually draw a line there. And let's click on this line. This is 4.846. Not 5 centimeters. So what's happening here? Well, the thing is, the lower rectangle is not directly above or below the upper rectangle, so the surface is shifted. And that basically adjusts the length problem. So if, for example, go to the offset plane and let's say minus 20, and let's take a look. Now this is 4.4. You see it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is not really ideal when we want to work with stock material. This is not really working the way how actually it should. So what could be one easy way to solve this? And let me show you how we can do this. Okay, so let's maybe just call this one width there, and double click this constraint I delete and this I delete. This one I pull out. I can actually move this one up to there. That's where I need it. And then I will make this line perpendicular to this line. Come schon. There. D. Align dimension 5 centimeters. Perfect. And now I will I will just project 3D include this one into my sketch, because I will create a new line from there to there. Perfect. You see this is 90 degree. So now I actually know, or I see basically the point where the first rectangle should be. So what's the distance? This is 5.1, and that is basically what we need. So 5.159. Let me write this one down. 5.159. Click stop. Okay, so now if we go back to let's say here, and this one is 5.159. This is also D8. Okay, stop sketch. Let's go to the top one, D8 and D8. So I only have to adjust one. There, see now, everything fits perfect. So we kind of did a little workaround. So we first created then basically the necessary layout for where the legs should be. Then we created a dummy, measured it, and then we adjusted the initial 2 sketches to create these legs. So pretty easy workaround, works pretty good. It's not necessarily ideal for us now to adjust, for example, the plane. Let's say we actually make this 60 centimeters, because then this might actually not work again. So where's the line? You see now it's actually too wide. Then we could remeasure it and then it works again. So it's just one little adjustment step and done. So how do we do all the other legs? Well, in this case, because we have an object, we can simply use the mirror command there. Whoops, and no, there, and repeat mirror, this time both objects along this plane. Okay, perfect. See, there we are. So that's nice. But before we do this, actually here, this one we can work on, because if we go back to the photo, we can see there and there is a small block that connects them. So how can we do this? So let's see, can we actually make a plane at an angle on this? Does it work? Yeah, this works, but I would have to figure out 45 degrees. Ooh, way too complicated, the measurement. So we don't do this. What we simply will do, well, we have something like there, and maybe there we can create, for example, a sketch. Let's say there is one block. Okay. This looks crazy, but hold on, because there's another problem I want to show. If we rotate this, extrude this out, you see it actually goes at an angle. So not really ideal, also not good. So what can we do better? So what actually we will do is, yeah, we will create a sketch, but not the way how we did. We in this case will create a sketch at the center. So that's good. And now we will use the project command and project this line in and maybe this line in. And we can actually project the top one in. That's the one we need as well. Okay, good. So why did I do this? Well, this is very simple. The sketch, as you can see now, is vertical. So when we extrude it out, it goes perfectly left and right. And by projecting these corners in, I also have the rotation of these lines. So now I can go ahead and, for example, say offset, please, this line as much as needed. Because if you pay attention, there is a small gap, but it's flush in the corner in the back. Okay, so let's say like this. Good. Then let's put in a line. This line should be horizontal. And what is, for example, the distance? So let's say maybe the distance is 9. And you also can see there, this looks horizontal. Okay, so these sides are actually cut. So this is good. So let's say somewhere else we would like to have exactly the same, another line and another line there. So you and you, double click, same distance. And we could even say, well, let's say we make this 9 and it's too much the same, so it's too boring. 12, let's move it down a little bit. Perfect. Good. So, and with this, now we can go to extrude U and U. I think move them out. Distance to the object. So this one there. But as a new body. Okay, can we do this symmetrical? Unfortunately, as it looks, we can measurement whole length. To object, both sides, to object, symmetrical from object. So you. Okay. Unfortunately, that does not work this way, but what we can do is properly, we just go this way. So you and you to object there and to object there, and this is all a new body. Click OK. Perfect. So now we have the individual wood elements as well. Great. Good. So let's see, how can we mirror? I mean, all this we can mirror over this one. Okay. Now the problem is, how do we get these copied over? Good question. Can we use a circular array for this? Curious. 1, 2. Axis is this one. Yeah, it should actually work. 4. See, that's the way how we do it. Wah, wah. So perfect. That actually means here in this mirror command we only need the legs, because these posts we bring over later via the circular array. Circular array sounds funny, it's circular, but this is a box wall, but we can draw a circle through it. Okay, so there is actually our basic wood construction. You can see all the corners there are lined up. We have everything nicely dimensioned, so we can play with it. Then the rest for you would be left to do. You see a lot of these corners are rounded, so they're nice and smooth. What you want to round are, for example, this corner and this corner and this corner and this corner. You don't want to round this corner, because we can just cut the wood and keep it flush. But in those areas here, we can actually round or break those corners, because first we can hurt ourselves. Second, sharp corners with shoes, the sole can rip off the corners and damage it. So when we round it, we protect it a little bit, visually looks better. And these inner corners here, we don't really need to really be concerned about. So there, we can just add all these corners, for example, to it. You can also select, for example, the interior corners there. Yeah, and then you know how to finish the rest. So what could be now a different approach to create the legs without having to always readjust them afterwards? The process I will show you is a little bit odd maybe, because it might first seem like we're not building the geometry the way how we would build it in the woodshop. But that doesn't really matter, because what counts is the type of geometry later at the end of the design we have, so we can give it to a woodshop to create the furniture from. Okay, so if we take a look from the front or the other side, these edges are all perfectly flush, or the faces. We cannot see those faces. So that basically means we can create a huge geometry like a pyramid, and then we have those faces, and the inside and trim or split everything. Okay, sounds confusing, but let me show you actually how this will work. So all this I put into a group. This is version A. So let's say version A, and then I will suppress it so it's out. Okay. There is now my original part. So what I will do first is loft, for example, this whole object to this whole object. Okay, so this is my main base. Perfect. Okay. So here comes the trick now. I will create a new sketch, and I will create the sketch at the center of my world, so nice and flush. And I will project maybe this line and this line. Or alternatively, I could also say intersect with this face and this face. Good. So with this done, what I can do now is say offset this one -5 centimeters and offset -5 here as well. What dimension is this one? It's D33, so D33. Okay, good. Let's maybe take a look at those. So the lower one is good, the upper one is not good. So I will have to extend this a little bit. There, and extend this one there. And if we want to work nice and clean, we could even put them together. Okay, good. So let me show you what we can do. Now we have this block, and now we have these new white lines. And with these white lines, we could, for example, split. We'll have a lot of split commands, so I actually will fill this so I have a nice filled sketch, because now I could go and say extrude this one to there and the other side and cut this out. So there you see now we have actually our legs cut. The bottoms are trimmed and the inside area is trimmed. And the outside is trimmed, well, because of the pyramid we extruded first. Now I have to do exactly the same from here. So maybe back to this area, I make a new sketch on this plane. Also there I will now say intersect this face and this face. And then I do the same offset D33, but minus offset minus D33. Let's connect actually this line and this line, and then we draw one up, draw one up, connect this, okay, delete, 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 make this horizontal, stop sketch, perfect, and number one. And now we do the same, cut through this part and the other part there. So let's take a look, flush and flush. Let's double check. Now this is 5.1 and 5.1, so that is obviously correct. Let's make a line here, there to there. So I'm off by a millimeter. Interestingly, this should actually be exactly the same. I'm not sure if maybe I made a mistake with the offsetting. Let's maybe make one there. So it's always the same. Okay, let me double check. 5 centimeters. Okay, let's go to there. Huh, interesting, because actually they're all 5 centimeters. That should be exactly the same. Good. The advantage of this approach is, if I now go to here and say make this 60, well, I would have to actually extend the lines a little bit. So how do I do this better? So we might have to prep this a little bit more. Okay, so you see this is actually above these points. So, and that is important to maintain. So you and you, let's say you always have this distance, cancel you to you. There, that works better. And maybe you and you. This doesn't work because it has this point that's offset. Okay, so let's say maybe this will be 4 centimeters always. Good. Then let's go to the sketch. There we will do the same. You and you, height-wise 4 centimeters. Okay. So when we now actually go ahead and say 50, you see these tips always remain being on top. 70, or for example 38. Perfect. Good. See, pretty nice. So then because we have the construction plane, there we can then actually make a new sketch. And for example, we can create maybe a circular shape there and make it big enough so that, for example, let's say this is 40. Yeah, 40. This is maybe the wood part. Then this, as a new body, we extrude up maybe 4 centimeters, new body. Okay, perfect. And then either via the T-splines, for example, we can create the upholstery that will go over, or from this view, I can also make a sketch. For example, with the spline command. So what's actually 4 centimeters? I might actually have to bring this one line in, so intersect this surface. So now I have actually a reference, because from there 8 centimeters up, that is my maximum height. This could be a construction line. Okay, so spline, maybe there, there, there. Okay. So then we can try to see, can we maybe sculpt this a little bit? So when this is upholstery, you see how this will deform a little bit. Here, this has to be horizontal. So you see it's not necessarily very easy, why in such cases then, if I want to have a nicer, rounder area, that might then actually be something that's easier to do with the T-spline system. So if we revolve this, this is not going to look very good. So what we can do, however, is bring this line over to there and there and there. So this can go higher. What I'm doing here right now is just something to help me a little bit with understanding the volume I'm talking about, and maybe we can fillet this a little bit. Okay, maybe like this. Good. Okay. Now that's fine. So now we can go to create form on actually this construction plane. What was the warning, by the way? Just turned on. Okay, good. So create form, cylinder. Create a cylinder on actually this construction plane. Top view, click on the center. We can drag this one out. So 40 centimeters, let's say 40.5, so half a centimeter added material. Enter. Okay. So then we can this maybe delete and delete. This maybe we can move down a little bit, double click, move this one down there. Okay, now press the Alt key and then in top view make sure you click on this center scale. Now we can scale this in. Whoops, wrong one. Okay, yeah, I see now we have a nicer shape. Maybe Alt and one more extrusion. Let's bring it to there. Okay, double click this one. I'm sure if we Alt and scale this in, this is getting way too round and it might actually cut into the wood. So I have to add a very small loop cut and then maybe one smaller, and if this is actually my upholstery, let's take a look. This can go to there, and oh, I missed this line. Oh, that line actually went with it. Then this line and this loop cut I will push down a little bit because this is fabric that deforms. Okay, Control 1 turns this into box mode, so this is good because this one I actually would like to bring down closer to there. I went to box mode, simply it's easier now to see all the loops. Control 2, Control 3 switches between the different modes. And let's take a look. This is fine. This is maybe pillowed out a little bit more, so that actually means here I might need to have a loop cut. So select the loop cut, modify, insert edge. Where is it? There, wrong direction. There, maybe to the center. Okay. And then this one, in top view, we scale a little bit. Just be careful. We can also always enter numerically the value. And then Control 3. You see the sides bevel a little bit more, nicer. This maybe just a tiny tick has to be scaled. 0.1. Whoops. 0.01 is fine. So I get a nice curvature. Finish form. Okay. So the top area here is not closed. So how do we do this? Two ways. We can actually, let's take a look. Now this is flat, so it has no depression. We extrude them all flat. There's a command up here, fill hole, to patch this one with multiple options, collapse or fill star. Maybe the fill star we could do, and then later we get this as an end result for the NURB surface. But you see that slices everything a lot. So in our case, I will do something different. I will go to patch, create patch, cap this area, maybe tangent, but this is all flat, so it should really not matter. And then I can actually stitch this one and this one together, and now it's one object. Perfect. So one little trick. Let's see what happens if we maybe move this one up. So 60, okay. Our T-spline didn't move, but all we would need to do now is take the cushioning and just move it up, and we're done.